Quincy Jones is one of the most talented people in the music industry. Whether he's playing the trumpet or writing, producing, and arranging music, his talent is undeniable. He has composed music for projects like Roots and The Color Purple. He's the recipient of a whopping 28 Grammy Awards, and he has the unique ability to juggle up to 22 women at a time. Quincy has lived a wild and crazy life, and there's so much about this musical legend that many people aren't aware of. You're definitely gonna need some popcorn for this one.
Introducing RRG Snacks from the creators of Real Reality Gossip. Now you can watch our viral videos all while enjoying our delicious gourmet popcorn. Head over to rrgsnacks.com for available flavors and use code POPPIN20 to receive 20% off your first order.
Quincy Delight Jones Jr. was born on March 14, 1933 to Quincy Sr. and Sarah Francis. Growing up on Chicago's South Side, his life was troubled from the start. Not only did he have to deal with racism and discrimination on a daily basis, but there were problems at home as well. Quincy believes his relationship with his mother led him to struggle in the relationship department. So what exactly happened to him during his childhood that made him turn into
one of the original players from the Himalaya?
Quincy told GQ his mom was a graduate of Boston University and fluent in 12 languages. He described her as an amazing woman, but her undiagnosed mental health issues contributed to her inability to be a good mother to Quincy and his younger brother. There were small incidents from his early years that made him sense that his mom was battling something. Like the time during his 5th or 6th birthday when she grabbed his birthday cake and threw it on the back porch for no apparent reason. When asked by GQ if he had any happy memories of his mom, he simply answered, "No, not one." Around the time he was 7, he watched as his mom got taken away in a straitjacket. He and his brother were allowed to visit her while she stayed in a mental hospital, but her behavior towards them while she was in the facility made his relationship with her even worse. Quincy told GQ magazine that on one occasion, his mom did number 2 on the floor, picked it up, and ate it. His parents got divorced, and his dad got married to a woman named Elvira, who just so happened to be the mother of one of Quincy's friends. Quincy, his younger brother, his dad, his new stepmom, and his 3 step siblings packed up and moved to Bremerton, Washington. His dad and stepmom went on to have 3 more children, making them a family of 10. But Quincy told the Seattle Times that life at home was the opposite of the Brady Bunch. Elvira favored her own children and wouldn't even refer to Quincy and his brother by their names. Instead, she would only refer to them as the Jones boys. So not only did Quincy feel abandoned by his biological mother, but he felt unloved by his stepmother. He told the news outlet, "When you'd see a mother brush the hair of her child, every bone and cell in your body would just cringe. You wanted that so bad." For his high school graduation, Quincy wrote a piece of music for the ceremony, and he couldn't wait for his family to hear it. His biological mom actually showed up, but his stepmother refused to attend the ceremony. To keep the peace in their household, his father didn't attend his graduation either. During his teenage years, he was riding in a car with 4 of his friends on their way to perform at a rodeo. Quincy was in the middle seat in the back of the car when their vehicle got struck by a bus. Everyone in the car lost their lives except for Quincy. He told GQ that the image of seeing one of his friends decapitated scarred him for life. Years after the incident, he tried to take driving lessons, but he just couldn't do it. The driving instructor finally gave him his money back and told him they didn't need another maniac out on the road. To this day, Quincy has never driven a car. He has an intense fear of being behind the wheel and has to be driven around wherever he goes. When he became of high school age, his family relocated to Seattle, and that's where Quincy's interest in music and girls began to grow. In his memoir, he admitted he had a thing for 35 and 40-year-old women, but there was no way he could resist his fellow high school classmate, Jerry Caldwell. After dropping out of college, he got hired to play with a swing band, and he moved to New York. He eventually sent for his girlfriend, Jerry, to move out to the city with him. They decided to get married and filled out all of the paperwork. But when they arrived at City Hall, the employees refused to accept their papers. In a chapter contributed by Jerry in Quincy's memoir, she implied that they were turned away because they were an interracial couple. Quincy convinced her they didn't need papers to be husband and wife, so they told everyone they had gotten married and moved on with their lives. They weren't able to legally get married until 1975, years after their first daughter, Jolie, was born. Quincy stated that Jerry was the only committed person in their marriage. While touring through Europe, he was confronted by temptation and gladly accepted many offers. In his memoir, he said he loved hooking up with Norwegian and Swedish women. They would run their hands across his face to see if his skin was made of chocolate. Initially, he tried to keep his infidelities a secret from his first wife, including his affair with Dinah Washington, but then he got sloppy. He and Jerry separated, and Quincy began dating several women in the States and overseas. In his book, he wrote, "I would have 6 different women in 6 different countries." In 1962, he went to Detroit to compose a show and got a dancer pregnant. She gave birth to his second daughter, Rachel. Quincy and his first wife, Jerry, got divorced 4 years later. Even though he admitted he wasn't a good husband, he went on to get married 2 more times. In 1967, he married Swedish model Ulla Andersson, and they had 2 children. After that marriage ended, he married actress Peggy Lipton, and they had 2 children. When things with Peggy went sour, Quincy told the Los Angeles Times he was kicked out of their marital home. He suffered an emotional breakdown and was forced to postpone all of his work commitments. He flew to Tahiti, where he spent an entire month trying to sort himself out. He said he wandered around all the islands by himself and meditated for 4 or 5 hours a day to obtain a deeper spiritual connection. Back on the market again, Quincy was ready for love. He began dating German actress Nastasia Kinski, and their daughter Kenya was born in 1993. They broke up a couple years later. In total, Quincy has 7 children by 5 different women. He has a very close bond with all of them, especially his daughters. He told GQ, "When you've been a dog all your life, God gives you beautiful daughters and you have to suffer." He also loves to give the perception that all of his ex-wives, baby mamas, and children get along, but Ulla had a different story to tell in her autobiography entitled Red Carpet Blues. She refers to Quincy as a sociopath and accuses him of turning their son against her. These days, instead of dating a woman and speaking behind her back to see other people, he has decided to be more upfront. During a 2008 interview with the Seattle Times, he was proud to announce that he had 18 girlfriends, and one of them just so happened to be Kimberly Hefner, who at the time was estranged from Playboy founder Hugh Hefner. 10 years after that interview, Quincy said his daughters had upped his age requirements and told him he could only date women between the ages of 28 and 42. With the new rule in place, Quincy still had no problem finding women to spend time with. By that point, he said he had 22 girlfriends. Yes, you heard that right. 84-year-old Quincy was juggling 22 different women who lived in various locations across the globe. When asked if he would ever go out with someone his own age, Quincy shot that idea down with the quickness. He said, "Are you crazy? For what, man?" Quincy told GQ Frank Sinatra was pushing for him to hook up with Marilyn Monroe, but Quincy alluded that he turned her down because she wasn't his type. But one blonde who met his physical requirements was Ivanka Trump, allegedly. Back in 2006, 24-year-old Ivanka allegedly reached out to designer Tommy Hilfiger and asked him to set up a dinner for her and Quincy, who was 72 at the time. Quincy told Vulture magazine he agreed to meet her for dinner. He said he was mesmerized by her beautiful legs, but in the end, things didn't work out because of who her father was. Quincy went on to describe Donald as a narcissistic, crazy mother. He's had his fair share of health issues. In 1974, 41-year-old Quincy suffered a brain aneurysm. In a Facebook post, he wrote, "It felt like a shotgun was fired inside of my head." He was rushed to the hospital, but due to all the swelling, they had to wait 8 days before they could operate on him. During the 7.5-hour surgery, Quincy said doctors discovered a second aneurysm that was ready to burst, so he had to undergo a second operation. The prognosis was grim, and his friends started planning his memorial at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. Thankfully, he made a full recovery. Instead of canceling the memorial service, they decided to use the event to celebrate his life and accomplishments. Quincy wrote, "I basically attended my own funeral." With his health issues in his rearview mirror, Quincy is ready to enjoy many more years of life. He celebrated his 88th birthday in 2021, and according to him and his doctors, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Quincy told GQ he spends 6 days a year at an exclusive hospital in Sweden. He said 14 of the smartest doctors in the world administer procedures using cutting-edge, breakthrough medical technology. And according to them, the procedures make it possible for Quincy to live until the age of 110, or maybe even longer. Let us know if you were surprised by any of these facts about Quincy Jones. And thanks for watching Real Reality Gossip.